Ready to open the hood? UseTool for the tutorials.
And for car parts, the right idea is the Mr. Auto app. Easy, fast, and with better prices than on the website.
You will find the bulk tyre ends used in the video exclusively on the Mr. Auto website and through the link in the description. Turn your engine off and pull up the handbrake. In order to change the outer tyre end on your vehicle, you must lift the front of your vehicle and remove the wheels. This will give you full access to the steering system. Loosen the stud bolts on the front wheels, raise the front of the vehicle and put it in the two-axle stands. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial, raising your vehicle safely before carrying out this step. You will then be able to take off the wheels. Don't forget to slide them under the vehicle. You can now see the outer tie rod end. As the components to be removed are very often seized up, don't hesitate to brush and to use penetrating oil to facilitate the operation. With a marker, trace a line between the axle joint and the tie rod end. It will help later during the disassembly and reassembly process. Using a 21mm spanner, release the holding nut on the tie rod end. Hold the tie rod axle joint with a 21 spanner to prevent it from turning. The Locknut is there to prevent any rotation of the two parts towards each other, which could have an impact on the alignment of your vehicle. Using a 17mm spanner, release the holding Locknut on the tie rod end. It is now time to release the tie rod end from its socket. If you do not have a ball joint puller, take a hammer and hit the Locknut hard just at the end of the threading. The ball joint should move away from the pivot. Only tap on the tie rod end pivot if you're changing the tie rod end, otherwise you risk damaging the threading. Finish removing the nut from the tie rod end. If your tie rod end rotates with a nut, you can prevent this rotation using a 5mm Allen socket. Paying close attention to the point of reference, unscrew the tie rod end, counting the number of turns necessary to extract the tie rod end. This will allow you to find an approximate setting when reassembling. For greater accuracy, we advise you to measure the distance between the Locknut and the end of the tie rod ball joint using a caliper. In any case, an alignment check will have to be carried out by a professional soon after having performed this operation. Remove the Locknut from the axle joint.
Hi, it's Theo from UseTool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.
You will find the bulk, parts and products used in the video on the Mr. Auto site and in the link in the description. Screw the Locknut back on until the distance measured with a caliper is reached. Take the new tie rod end. Replace the tie rod axle joint until it touches the Locknut. Replace the ball joint in the pivot. Reinstall the nut supplied with a new part and tighten it using a 17mm spanner. During this operation, you will work on the steering system of your vehicle. Checks on tyre alignment, when carried out by a professional, will guarantee that your steering system has been perfectly aligned and is in good working order. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Finalize the tightening of the Locknut using a 22mm spanner while holding the tie rod end using a 21mm spanner to avoid damaging the tie rod end. Then, you will be able to put the wheels back on your vehicle. Put your car back on the ground and block the wheels securely. Operation completed.
Hi, it's Theo from UseTool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.